You're about to learn how Ben Gilbert, the Director of Marketing Technology for At Home, rolls with the punches, with creativity and the right mindset. Joining him will be Movable Inc.'s own Ron Hay, our Director of Strategy, to lead this discussion. Please give a warm Think Summit welcome to Ben and Ron.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here. I realize now that we are the only thing between you and lunch. And if you've been to Think Summit before, you know we do the food right. But thank you for sticking with us. We're going to have a great session here. So just to jump in a little bit, a quick intro for myself, and then I'm going to hand over the stage to Ben. My name is Ron Hay, as mentioned. I am a Director of Strategy here at Movable Inc. Before coming to Movable Inc. 4 years ago, I was actually a client. I was at Dick's Sporting Goods, managing that email and SMS program. And now in my role here today, I get to work with some of our clients, some of you I see in the crowd out there, to understand your business challenges and craft strategic recommendations. So I have both been in your shoes and I continue to work with some of you. I'm really excited about this Leadership Perspectives and Industry Insights track. As you've seen already, and you will continue to see over the next 2 days, you're going to walk away with a lot of fresh inspiration and use cases that you can take, which is very exciting, don't get me wrong. But what we're going to see here today is you're going to hear from your peers who have done this and navigated those challenges and really brought those ideas to life. So I'm really excited about that. So, as mentioned, as marketers over these last 6 or so years, we've been on a pretty wild ride. We've gone through COVID, iOS 15, supply chain issues, inflation, Gmail's AI-powered inbox. Obviously, we're talking a lot today about the rapid pace of change with AI. And of course, you know, what's certainly going to be one of the buzzwords for this year, the K-shaped economy. So retail leaders and business leaders in general are working in this space where the inputs keep on changing. And we really are at the intersection of strategy, execution, and technology. And so at the risk of borrowing from this cliche, we are really in this continuous era of change. Now, I hesitated, but I couldn't resist using another Marketunist panel because they always seem to hit the nail on the head. And really that is, you know, change isn't new, right? You can see here we've been dealing with this for decades, but it really is that rate of change that feels novel and different. And again, as we've talked about, technology is going to continue the acceleration of that change. So, you know, one of the things I think could be missing here is the oft-repeated line of email is dead. But of course, we know that's not true. It's just evolving. It's just changing. And so, you know, our success as marketers really depends on how we embrace that change, stay curious, and really resilient in our approach to these new challenges. So, At Home is a great example of this because they've had both macro disruption and major internal reinvention. And through all of this, Ben has really done a phenomenal job of keeping the customer first through all those changes around him. So Ben, welcome again, and please tell us a little bit about yourself and At Home's journey.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. So yes, Ben Gilbert, the Director of Marketing Technology. I love that title because those, as I'll kind of dive into, are two very different worlds, marketing and technology. So when you're talking about like an organizational group. So I have 14 years of experience in retail. 7 of those have been with At Home. My career kind of moved from CRM strategy at Michael's Arts and Crafts, and then I moved into sales, and I was kind of the owner of both strategy and the technology. And then when I moved to At Home, I took over MarTech stack entirely. So my job is to make sure our entire MarTech stack is being maximized, we're getting a good ROI on it, and like I was kind of joking, that our marketing team's big ideas and our IT team's sometimes limitations, a little Debbie Downerism, but it's real, can come together, and we find that middle of the Venn diagram. That's my role. At Home, many of you guys probably have heard of us. We're a national retailer, big box home decor retailer, 230 stores. We have kind of a concentration through the Sun Belt a little bit more. So if you're more in like the Texas, Arizona area, you probably have one in every suburb. And over the last 5 years, At Home has had our own Eras tour to say. So early 2021, let's paint a picture. We have a little pilot set of stores that's going to do our first e-com, buy online, pick up in store. Because we are a warehouse retailer, e-com was not our first foray. We are primarily brick and mortar, but we wanted to introduce BOPUS. Then COVID happened. And the pilots turned into all of the stores immediately as fast as possible because, as you guys probably experienced, you were just trying to find any which way to kind of keep the lights on with the business. So fortunately for us, some companies get to say, as COVID was actually a successful time for our business because a lot of disposable income moved from events and travel and dining to investing in your home. So we had huge growth during that. The expanded BOPUS rollout worked great. We even started onboarding local delivery partners. We were on this trajectory that was through the roof. And maybe we went a little too high on our forecasts, and we had to come down from COVID. People's kind of share of wallets realigned on what they were spending their disposable income on. And we went through kind of a debt restructuring last year. And with that was how the tariffs were impacting us. So we looked at diversifying our suppliers from only in China to all these other locales. And with that came kind of increased quality. You're getting more specialty product from different regions that specialize in rugs and linens and wood decor and stuff like that. And as part of that whole restructuring, as part of that diversification of suppliers, we've changed our brand a lot to emphasize that quality and that value proposition. And we're also currently in a pilot for a new loyalty program that focuses a little bit more on like spend and get certificates instead of just like a birthday coupon, and that's about it.
So you've definitely had a front row seat to this retail roller coaster ride. And I think you've touched on something really important, which is, we're an environment where brands need to be very purposeful and thoughtful about their messaging, especially with customers who, for the most part, are more value conscious than ever. But what happens when some of these external forces that are outside of your control create headwinds and challenges for you to do that? How have you navigated that at Home?
Yeah, with that whirlwind, everyone has their own version of the whirlwind, whether it's marketing, IT, sourcing, like I was saying, from different places. So it's a lot of times an idea will come to our table on the marketing tech team, and what we like to do, I don't know if you guys have heard of Scott Galloway. He's kind of on the YouTube TED Talk circuit. He's a big thought leader, and I'm a big follower of his. Ron was familiar with his work too. He had this quote in a podcast about both your personal life and professional life, to have the propensity to say yes. And that can be yes and, yes or. But if you can start a conversation or relationship with a yes, you're kind of getting buy-in. So like I said, my job is to kind of bring marketers and tech folks together and find that middle ground. I have this dumb line I use, marketers are from Mars, IT pros are from Venus, and I am the intergalactic traveler. So I get to help bring those people together, build confidence in their belief in what I can make happen, and also in each other, kind of being a mediator as well. And as part of that, you take marketing's pie-in-the-sky vision, and you take IT's tool sets and limitations, and you pull those together with your MarTech stack, which for us is Salesforce Marketing Cloud and Movable powering a lot of the cool stuff within that.
So I love the yes first mentality. It can be really refreshing and invigorating if you find a partner who's willing to roll up your sleeves with you, dive into a new and challenging problem to really get in there and solve for it. But tell us a little bit more about where does Movable actually fit in your tech stack, and how does it help you do the things that you're trying to achieve?
Yeah. So I mentioned Salesforce Marketing Cloud as our ESP, but whatever ESP is, it can almost, if you guys have experienced this, it was something we went through, it grows and grows and grows, and it almost becomes like a light CDP, especially if you don't have a formal CDP. And if you have a team of developers or even somebody kind of hacky like myself that can write some SQL queries, write some personalization string scripting in your tool, you can get a lot of data in your ESP, and you're like, I want to give it to Movable. How do I give it to Movable? Now, we heard in the Intuit presentation about the maybe more formal data integrations or API connections or CSV drops and stuff like that. But what if you're kind of trying to make a solution happen? What if you said yes, and now you have to make it happen, but you had the confidence you could? Something that's worked really well for us, and I love this right here, this little secret tool, developer tools, show settings source. This is a little thing in Studio that once you check that box, no longer do you have to hard code a particular value into a dynamic field or have a formal data integration. But you can say, I'm going to pass you, Movable Link, a couple things I know about the customer from my ESP as just little dynamic fields on the parameter. And then what you're going to see in some of my examples here is ways that you can use that to enhance content in Designer or actually kind of build a waterfall of logic on the fly with a couple of those fields to create more dynamic, personalized experiences.
Okay, so we're going to show some of these examples that Ben's talking about. If you haven't already gathered from his hack that he's showing you here, he is a super user, a studio super user. And so, although in these next handful of slides we are really going to focus on the strategic approach, I'm willing to bet that if you want to talk sort of technical things and get in the weeds with Ben, he's willing to pull up a chair and talk some shop with you after the session here.
Oh yeah, I'll get a little too extra. I work remotely in my basement, so when I get to human a little bit, I human hard. So if you'll give me a little grace there, I would love to sit down with any of you guys or have a little digital chat afterwards and kind of talk about the nerdy side of this. But I'm going to kind of keep it, Ron's going to keep me honest on a lot of these examples about the business challenge we faced and how Movable Link powered it. So the first one, as I mentioned, after our debt restructuring and our kind of product assortment changed into a more quality-focused branding and presentation. That wasn't just all right, we're done, the brand is ready. There were so many iterations, and the photo studio's like, wait, the photo should be at a 90-degree angle, not a 45-degree angle, and your email had it wrong. I kind of got tired of working with the creative team to make sure that we were getting these static photo assets right, and I said, okay, is there a one true source that I can kind of pull from a data integration? They were like, not really, but the website is always right. So I said, okay, Movable Link can do web cropping. So let me look at how Movable Link can look at some of our kind of templatized pages on our website. I mentioned we're big box retailers, so a lot of our departments then have sub-departments and classes under that. So a lot of our pages have not only product in them, but also kind of entry points into another level deeper within the category. And I said, great, if those assets are kind of pre-approved, how can I just swim in the website's wake a little bit, draft off of them, and leverage Movable Link to build a dynamic kind of widget that we can put into Journey emails. We can enhance a BAU email, or maybe it's a resend of a BAU email that we want to kind of Frankenstein a couple successful pieces into it to make it work a little bit harder, and put that into our developers' hands to be able to add them into our emails. So right here, we did that. We web cropped, you can see right up here, our photo assets. And one thing about our business, very seasonal. The floral is going to change from green to bright flowers to fall. All of those, I don't have to worry about seasonality. I don't have to worry about showing Valentine's Day stuff in March, because if I'm scraping from the website and I can trust that the photography is good there, well, I can pull that in through Movable Link. But it doesn't stop there. I mentioned that I can pass attributes about the customer. What if I say, well, Ron, he's into modern design, and I'm a new arrivals shopper. Everything I've only bought is new arrivals. I can pass that as one parameter and then create kind of a logic waterfall in the targeting. If you've ever been in Studio and seen kind of that targeting, you say, well, if the dynamic field I'm passing says modern, well, let's go ahead and web crop from that URL, and you're passing that one. Well, if not, you got new arrivals over here, and then maybe you have a default at the end just as a fallback. Fallbacks are always nice to have. And this right here, lifted from a static set of category entry points into these dynamic ones, our click-through rate on that section was up 6.5%. So, I mean, just those little wins. There's no silver bullets in email, right? It's all these little wins. This was one of them for us.
So this is a great example of working smarter, not harder. You talked about the rebrand, which creates a lot of rework, naturally, for a lot of teams. And like you said, you're drafting off of the already refreshed, approved live and market examples on the site and pulling those into the program, so you don't have to do any of that work. So that's already a win. And then, like you've mentioned, not only that, but they're dynamic. So as seasonally changes, as the top sellers maybe turn over, all that sort of pulls in real time to the program.
And I'd be remiss to say, even the headlines here are pulled from the website. So it's not just the visualizations. Our website team does a lot of A/B testing on headlining and breadcrumbs, what they define for that. We get to also kind of ride that along too and take the success of that. So it's worked well. All right, the next one, I said we're doing a new loyalty program we're piloting in 30 stores right now, looking national launch in September. And it's a lot more certificate-based. It's called Design Rewards. And what we wanted to do is make sure that we were taking all of our new brand fonts and colors and presentation. A lot of the assets that were released to me do little things that you guys probably experienced where you're like, ooh, that's like a semi-transparent background. I can't live text this. immediately my brain goes, Movable Ink is the solution here. So what can we do to pull in all of those attributes from our ESP? We pass them as parameters, but it didn't stop there for us. With this new certificate program, they're issued in $10 increments. It's a bit of like an IT limitation that you don't get one $50 one, you get 5 $10 ones. So that was a new business challenge. We had to say, how are we going to solve for that? And that's where we did targeting. We said, okay, if the certificate count equals 1, then we can actually display that as a single certificate presentation with the barcode there, and it's scannable right there for the point of sale. But if you have more than 1, let's say 5, we don't want to create like a repeatable block with a bunch of barcodes. That almost looks like something's wrong with the email. But we do host them on our website as well. So we say, instead of that, let's dynamically present that with our brand font and everything, but have the click-through be view my rewards and just have you go to the website. So all of that is built in Movable Ink. This is one campaign in our ESP, one template that just gets versioned based on Movable Ink's targeting.
So on-brand experience using image-based technology through Movable, so you're not beholden to web-safe fonts like you talked about. All of those templates, all the data pieces in there are dynamic and personalized, but then like you've said, you've kind of actually got multiple experiences here built in based off of where somebody is in their loyalty journey.
Yeah.
So a lot of benefits with this one. All right, tell us, I'm excited for everyone to hear about this one.
Yeah, we love this one. It's part of our core email template, and we're just kind of always optimizing it. So I'm sure we all have some version of site retargeting emails. We actually partner with Wunderkind, one of the sponsors here, to deploy our dedicated emails. But let's be honest, not everyone sees all of those. Sometimes a particular seasonal email, maybe one about patriotic decor, which is relevant to us right now, they're going to engage in that. Well, what we're able to do is kind of leverage Movable Ink to do we call a retargeting waterfall, but really that's saying, what do we know about the customer using Movable Ink signals or stories to say, okay, if they abandon a cart, we'll present the items they abandoned with a different headline and a different CTA. If they looked at stuff but they didn't cart it, well, we have a different headline that kind of teases, like, we know you looked at it, are you still interested? You can continue shopping. And then for the vast majority of our customers, they aren't in that funnel yet. We can present just a top picks, and this is all the same HTML that's just kind of showing and hiding based on targeting and Movable Ink. So it's kind of an elaborate design at first, but now we get to do things like, I'll just have fun and say, I want this one to do a little bit better. So I'll say, okay, on Tuesdays, make it crop from rugs and furniture, and on Wednesdays, make it do this. Or if the customer has this attribute, then adjust what product is shown. And because of that, whenever we look at our reporting, this one module that sits below the body content of our BAU emails and also exists in some of our journeys is 7% of our total weekly clicks, traffic to the site, is just this one guy. And a lot of that's cart and browse, but you're also getting people to start the funnel with something like this.
Yeah, I love this one. You know, we talk a lot about batch and trigger programs as like two distinct and separate things. And there's planning, obviously, reasons why they're different, but to the customer, it's another communication touch point from your brand, a brand to them. So, you know, in their experience, it's not really different. So we really have to be thoughtful about how we present these sort of behavioral use cases. But when done correctly and thoughtfully, like you've done here, they can really add a lot of value in your batch program by pulling in that behavioral signal.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do one more here.
Yeah. So the last one's a little more fun, all the way down to the tongue-in-cheek success metric here is just executives mailing me that I don't even know, being like, that was cool. This is like one of the things Movable Ink says they do, and you're like, okay, that's cool. And then you kind of hit what Ron and I have joked about, the fear of fringe. You might have somebody in your organization being like, that's cool, but what about that person who lives in Alaska and it's blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, okay. And then maybe the asset never sees the light of day because there's that one fringe case that stopped it from working. Well, what we were able to do with ours, like I said, we do a lot of seasonal decor, a lot of that's outdoor patio, and we wanted to kind of create what we called a personal vibe. So we have people dining outside, and we're able to say, hey, in your location, it's 82 degrees in College Station, Texas. Better start eating outside now because I went to school there. It is too hot and too humid later in the year. This was from May. So we're able to kind of give that little personal vibe, but also you can extend seasons. I mentioned I'm from Minnesota. Do you think I want to get a patio email in March? No, because I just snowblowed the driveway. But in Arizona, that's peak patio time because you don't want to be going outside in June, July. It's too hot. So we are actually able to use targeting, the weather targeting, to say, okay, if the temperature is greater than this, less than that, it's not cloudy or raining out. Let's show a particular graphic, and then you can have a fallback. And when we get to those transition periods like the fall, I'm going to get the cozy stuff. I'm going to get candles and throw blankets with maybe a fireplace photo, while the folks in Texas are being like, you can come back outside. It's below 100. So we're using that, and it's fun. And are there click metrics for it? I don't know. Not really, but it is a fun thing to show just a good vibe in your email, a good relevancy.
And I love that one, right? Because we obviously we're not going to convert every customer and every touch point, but you're building a story, you're maintaining relevancy, and sort of you're slyly supporting business objectives through this dynamic targeting. So to wrap it all up here, I think it's important for us to remember volatility is not going away. The change is going to keep coming in ways that we can't anticipate. So we'll tackle that with a yes first mentality and figure out the how second. Because again, perfection is not really the goal. It's a willingness to roll up your sleeves, use the tools that you have available to you, the cross-functional partnerships that you deliver, and willingness to test, learn, and adapt. And with testing, I would say, just because a test doesn't support your hypothesis doesn't mean it's a failure. You've learned something unexpected from that. And through all of this, that customer-first marketing is really about relevance. Ben, anything else you'd like to add to wrap us up here?
Yeah. The yes first mentality, you have to have the confidence behind it. You can't just be like irrationally saying yes and then not delivering. Like, you're not going to become a successful person in your org. So a lot of the yes first, that easygoing, we've got this, builds the confidence, because secretly behind the scenes, you know your tech stack, you know what it can and can't do, you know your partners in Movable Inc. that can help you solution architect something. So like when that big idea lands at your desk, you look super chill and you're like, we got this. But secretly, that's because you did all that work up front. All right. Thanks, everyone.